What's going on, guys? Stand Up Sales episode 21.
We still
Big
out here.
milestone for us. We're in the 20s now.
Mm,
So
We've been in the 20s. This is our second episode in the 20s, dude. That's how 21 works.
we're
Nice.
legally able to drink now in America. I don't know. You guys drink at like 13 over there, right?
16 with a parent in a restaurant. 18 is the legal drinking age.
Nice. Yeah, pretty dumb rule in America. You could serve our country, but you can't have a beer. Stupid. Um, but yeah, back on topic here. We have a juicy one for you. So today's call is going to be covering the opportunity cost of hiring the incorrect consultant, the incorrect agency, or hiring people who have been trained by the incorrect person. So essentially talking about the negative side of sales, where there's a lot of jokers out there, not obviously myself or David, but there's some bad people out there that could really like
Fuck your shit up.
your business. Like like once you let a fox into the hen house, like shit can go wrong.
Yeah.
So we're gonna talk about, if you're thinking about hiring or if you're like, fuck, this sounds like me. Might have hired an idiot in my business. What things you should be looking out for, red flags, green flags, and yeah, hopefully give you some actionable insight as we always try to do. And let's get into it, bro.
100%, dude. Um, okay, let's get the easy pickings out of the way first. Worst thing you've seen or heard when someone's hired a moron? What are the horror stories? Give a horror story. Let's hook people early on.
Okay, so is my camera all right? All right,
Yeah, you
fucking.
good. Yeah, you good.
The thing is good for 8 hours a day on Zoom, and as soon as we try to do this podcast, it's like fucking shorts out. But yeah, no horror story that's very top of mind. You said it before the recording. I'll blurb out the company, but someone hired a firm who essentially places sales talent and consults with them on like a hour to 2 hours a week or a month on those salespeople, and they cut their revenue by 66%. Cut, eliminated. So they were at X, and then you could multiply that number by 0.66 in a calculator, and that's the revenue that they're at after 6 months of helping them. So literally, it's like a
Wait, it was
fucking
6 months? I didn't realize it was that long. Fuck.
yeah, a leech,
Jesus.
a leech. So not only did they place bad sales talent, which is a killer, right? That's literally your front lines, right? If you put a bunch of untrained soldiers on the front line, they're going to get demolished. Um, but they also consulted on them to apparently be worse than they already were. So yeah, I don't know, but I felt for this guy on the call. Hopefully we're able to help him. We're doing some free work for him just to right the ship a little bit before we, even ask to work with the guy. But that's a horror story top of mind. How about you, Jacob?
Fuck you. Um, Horror story top of mind. I got two. So one of them is it's a weird one, right? So I think there's something to be said about people who are in sales and then become sales trainers, right? It's kind of the natural progression, right? It's like see one, do one, teach one. Except people do one and then they teach one. The issue is if you're not very good at the thing, you probably aren't very good at teaching it either. So be very careful about when you decide to go and get trained by someone. If you can't see the receipts from historically what they have done during their time as a doer of said thing. So someone that I am aware of went into a very well-known coaching program and was dog shit. And the owner of said coaching program asked me, "Hey, look, is this an offer problem or is this a closer problem?" And I said, "Dude, like, I don't think it's going to be an offer problem, right? Like, you
Yeah.
have a very well-known brand. I I know what your offer is kind of from the outside in. I think it's probably a closer problem. Give me the calls, I'll review them." And the calls were fucking garbage, like genuinely bad. Like no ability to close. Didn't close, I think, any deals in nearly 20 calls. So it's just like, it's a closer problem. And then I basically said, hey, look, you got to get rid of him. I'll come in and do. This is when like my schedule was a lot fucking quieter, put it that way. I'll come in and close for you in the interim, so that at least I'm not leaving you in the lurch. I'm not telling you to fire this guy and then not giving you a solution. I will be the solution for a short period of time. Then go find someone to do it. And I did it, and I closed $100,000 doing this part time. Like it's not because it's fucking hard. Ooh, I'm so hard. But like it's because it's not hard, right? You have a good offer. It's not difficult to close these people. Yeah. So that's horror story number one. Horror story number two is I think this company were doing about $70,000 a month, so not bad. But their closing team was closing at a team average of like 5%. Yeah. And they had gotten in another well-known brand of trained placed closers and stank. Like really genuinely stank.
Sucks to hear.
Just people giving people like us a bad name. That's all it is. Like that's how I view it. Is like ultimately all you're doing is fucking up my bag, and I know what I'm doing. So if you just stop doing that, then everyone wins.
You and the don't. The thing is, these guys are really good marketers.
Yeah, they're all incredible marketers, but they're just not very good at sales.
That's like kind of the thing that I found is like the more I focus on product and people, the less I have time to market.
Yeah, 100%.
Hurts. And like the other people are more focused on marketing than people and product.
Yeah.
So they get more people, and then they get burned. And when they finally find you and I, they're like,
I don't want to buy it because I got burned last time. Yeah, you got burned last time because you went with a fucking moron. That's as awful as it sounds. That is not my fault.
You buy nice, not buy right.
Yeah, exactly that.
But yeah, I mean, it really comes down to like your ability to like value and like determine talent and people's aptitudes. Like that's the scariest part about business is like you have to take the information that's been given to you and what you can find on the internet to make a very important decision for your business. And with sales, like it takes a little bit of time to really understand, is this actually working or not working, right? It's not like ads where like you have like numbers. Like obviously you have close rate and things like that. Yeah. But as a sales coach and people who now work inside people's businesses as like consultant, or we do the fractional stuff, like it takes a little bit of time to like audit things, understand what the key constraints in the business are, and then fixing those key constraints. Like it's a little bit of a delay from contract signing to actual like changing of results, right? Because if a company's going this way at 80 miles an hour, you got to then right the ship, take a U-turn, recalculate, and then be able to go 80 miles in the other direction, right? Yeah. So like that's the scariest thing about hiring the wrong person is you don't know you hired the wrong person until it's
really and truly like 3 or 4 months later.
So it's late.
Yeah.
So like I guess what like people watching this, listening to this, that it's applicable to, like what are good ways that you would vet a vendor for yourself? So say you're not David Jacob, you don't know sales, but you're good at your offer, you're a chief everything officer, you're looking for help. Like what would you do on these calls and conversations to actually be able to make an educated decision on who's going to help my company grow and scale correctly?
Yeah. So I was kind of in this situation maybe a week ago. And one of the big things for me is if I can see the numbers, I should be able to tell you where the bottlenecks and the constraints are. Right? So just by looking at the KPIs that you actually have, I should be able to make an educated guess without seeing too much more where I think the problems lie. And if you, as the offer owner, can look at that and go, either that makes sense or that reflects exactly the problems that we're having in the business, that's a good first sign.
Yeah.
That's very surface level, right? But
we had a client where their closers were closing at like 9%. Offer was good. Mm-hmm. Good case studies, good results, happy clients, low churn.
Yep.
And when we came in there, we determined that it was not a sales problem. It was a marketing
problem.
It was the
Interesting.
types of leads and the people that were coming into the funnel were just not closable. The fact that they were even at 9%, 10%
Was a
was like
miracle.
yeah, it was like a miracle. Like these are really good sales guys, dude. Like the shit is really dialed. But yeah, it was a marketing problem and like a handoff problem from marketing to sales. So like sometimes it is more than face value, right? There's so many things that it could be a broken zap. It could be miscommunication from marketing to sales, like the script compared to the ad. If the ad's saying we'll do this thing and then your salespeople are saying a different thing, then there's like a disconnect from on the prospect side of things, like, whoa, wait, what? And then the close rate diminishes because they came on the call expecting this conversation, but they got that conversation.
Yeah, it's like a complete bait and switch.
Yeah, they might even be a fit for the service that you're actually pitching on the call. So that's why I say it's like very hard as like people in our seat to understand if and how we would be able to go about helping the business. So I feel like a thing that a lot of people don't do is like what you just did with that one client is like send me actual stuff and I'll give you free goodwill and advice. Take it or leave it, hire me, not hire me. Hopefully this is something that can put you in the right direction. Like a lot of companies, if a company's not willing to do that, there's probably a reason why.
Yeah, 100%. And like I'm the first person to say don't do free work, and I stand by that, right?
Yeah.
The difference being there's a difference between not wanting to do free work because you don't want to just get into the realm of doing free consulting and wasting your own time versus not doing free work because you're unable to actually fulfill on free work, because when you have to do something at scale because you're getting tons of requests for it and you aren't good enough at doing the thing so it takes you ages, it's a bigger problem, right? So for example, like my minimum for, assessing a closer is 1 close, 1 lost. And that gives me a surface level understanding. But I can rip through that in an hour and give you a response yes or no based on what I've seen. Equally, if you want me to do an actual deep dive into whether these people can close, I need to see 10 calls of each. And that takes way longer. So if you want me to give you a barometer, sure, I'll do that, hour worth of free work, and it's not that big of a deal. To get actual understanding, I need 20 calls, which realistically is going to be a significant amount of work.
Yeah, and it's a good thing for us, where we sit. If a client's not able to provide basic level stuff for us to actually sink our teeth into, it's probably not a client that we're going to have good results for, regardless of our abilities, right? Because like in consulting, fractional work, whatever you're doing, like when you're actually working hands-on in a business, you're not like, oh, we'll run your Google ads. Like, all right. Still,
cool.
There's some things there. Or like, we'll build you a landing page. Like, okay. But like when you're actually getting into people and process, like the company needs to be at a certain stage for you to bring it to the next stage, right? You can't take a player with a torn ACL and be like, yeah, we'll get them to win the Olympics in 3 months. Like, no, there's some things that have to happen before we can even start training with that individual. So like it's good for both sides of the story. Like if they're not able to provide like call recordings, oh yeah, we don't record our closing calls. Like how do you even understand what's going on in the business? Like what? Oh yeah, we don't track that. What's our close rate? Probably around 10 to 30%. Like
the big ranges kill me.
Yeah, like we have like you got to know your closing percent to a couple of percentages. Like 23%. Okay. Maybe it's 20, maybe it's 25. All right, cool. A little bit there, but like yeah, like we do pretty good. If we get like 10 leads, we'll close like 1 or 2. Like what if you get 100 leads? What if you get
small
50?
sample size kills people.
What if you get 5 leads? Like yeah. So like it's a good determinant on both sides when you do kind of free work, quote unquote, because it's going to save you time with working with bad clients, which will make you tread water and spin you out and get a refund or whatever the fuck.
And also makes closers' life hell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're not going to be able to retain talent.
Yeah.
When people come to us like, oh, our salespeople keep leaving, it's usually not a salesperson problem. If it's a trend, there's a problem. Like maybe you had a couple of bad salespeople, okay, but if like every person quits within 90 days, like that's a systems problem. That's a processing
100%.
problem. That's an offer problem. That's a lead flow problem. So yeah, highly recommend like getting into the weeds a little bit. Like you don't just date a girl on the first date, right? You gotta get to know each other a little bit before you decide if we're gonna do this thing. So if you are on our side of the fence listening to this, like don't be afraid of doing a little bit extra before the deal closes to make sure that it's a good deal for both parties.
Yeah. I think the other side of it is if you're in the vein of like bringing in outside talent to run a specific department of your business, arguably the most important part of your business is the sales function. If you're about to outsource that, like someone I spoke to recently has a really, really good understanding of his own sales department. And it's not that he's outsourcing it because he doesn't want to deal with it. It's that like he has already passed the point where him managing it leads to better results. He now just needs it handled. And I'm like, cool, that is the perfect time for you to outsource hiring decisions, management, training, development, all these things.
Yeah.
But if you haven't even done that yet, right? If you've not hired your first salesperson, it gets kind of like you're just putting your trust in someone at that point.
Yeah.
And realistically, if that person isn't worth their salt, problems can start to arise. And that's where people just go to big names. Because they're like, oh yeah, well, I mean, this big name must be good. No, that big name has worked with so many clients that there is just an attrition rate that you don't understand or know about.
Yeah. Or they are very selective with their clients. That's why they get good results.
Yeah.
That's how most businesses should operate. Is you only want to sign clients who you can get results for. Like, what are you doing otherwise? But I think a good thing of what you said is like, you have to be competent in what you're outsourcing first so you actually can understand what you should be looking for in a partner. If you've never run ads, you probably shouldn't hire an ads agency because you don't even know what to evaluate them on.
You don't know what you don't know.
Good? Is this bad? Sure. Is this okay? I don't know. I hope it's okay. We're paying them a lot of money. So it's like, do the thing first. Maybe you're not the best at it. Perfect. But at least you did it.
Yeah, try it once.
Basic understanding of it.
100%.
Yeah, and like
just on that point, it's actually the pain of you doing it and doing it badly will make the pleasure of having it done for you and better infinitely more palatable than you just going, fuck it, I'm just gonna throw it out and see what happens. Yeah. Because you've already fucked it up and you already know how terrible it ended up. And yeah, you'll probably lose some money in the short term, which is obviously a negative part of it, but you'll have at least a baseline understanding and you'll be able to ask better questions to people like me and Dylan, where most people wouldn't ask those questions.
Yeah.
And by and large, with me and Dylan, you don't need to ask those questions because we already kind of know the game well enough that we can do this without your input. But does it make you a great client if you can ask those questions? 100%, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you gotta have at least an understanding of it. Yeah. Like fill out 80% of the information we need, not 100. Obviously, you don't have everything. That's fine. Yeah. But if you're looking at it and you just put like one-word answers on like an audit, like probably a red flag.
Yeah.
Because A, you're not actually seeing the value in it. You're not excited about it, and B, you might not even have that information. But yeah, it's tough. And if they're not asking questions that are like very poignant and intentional, like the vendor, like that's a big red flag because they should be evaluating you as much as you're evaluating them. Mm-hmm. If they're not, they're just trying to get
cash
revenue.
Grab.
Yeah,
cash
they're just trying to get
grab.
revenue in the door.
100%. And I think especially like in the realm that I play in, I don't know how prevalent this is in the setter community, but there are a lot of people out there who are placing closers just because it's going to get them more closers. They don't give a shit about what happens to your business. They genuinely fucking don't care. Because all they're incentivized for is we placed all of our closers on X many offers and they made money, which gets them more revenue on the front end, which is where they make their actual money. They don't care about your business.
That's why our structure is the way it is. It's low ticket on the front. We don't make money on the course.
Mine's higher ticket than yours.
Yeah, like we don't make money on the course. We make money on our ability to train salespeople and get them placed in jobs.
Yeah.
That's how we make our money.
The reason that we cap the cohorts at 10 is because of the same reason.
Oh,
Otherwise, we'd fucking open it up to an unlimited amount of people and just have it roll in cohorts.
Oh, I thought you could only close 10. All right, new point.
Fucking sell. Oh dear. Hey man, I'll
That's
see the
what I
cohort
do
started already.
every time we like are talking about a placement deal with a prospect. What I send, I had a call yesterday where I was like, "Hey man, I'll send over our case studies, testimonials, and live call recordings." He's like, "You're the first person who's offered that." Like, what? Why?
Yeah.
I'm proud of these things. Like, I want you to see them. Like, this is an actual call recording.
When you say
of somebody
live
we've
call
trained.
recordings,
Huh?
when you say live call recordings, do you mean live call recordings of the people being trained or their calls?
Their calls once they've been placed.
Ah.
So once we
very
place a
nice.
rep, we always ask them like a month or two once they're in the role, like send us a call recording.
Yeah.
Send us the last meeting you booked. Send us a good objection handle. They send us the MP3 file. We put it into a Google Drive, and that gets shared with every prospect.
Oh, that's really smart. I'm gonna start doing that.
Yeah.
That's really smart. I'm gonna start doing that. That's a great idea.
Dude, there's like 50, 60 call recordings in that drive. So when you click on that, you're like, oh, shit. This is an actual situation where someone that they trained is making the thing that we're going to pay them for. They're doing the thing for someone else.
That's really smart.
And there's no hiding it. You can't fake that. There's no screen. There's no Photoshop on a revenue stripe screenshot. There's nothing like that. There's no hiding from that.
Yeah.
Right? A testimonial is a testimonial. You obviously kind of know that.
They're blowing smoke up your asses in some.
Yeah, they're not going to be like, yeah, these guys sucked ass. I'm gonna send this to this guy. But like a call recording is like that's an actual
irrefutable proof. Yeah,
it's physical proof of the thing. And I always I'm like, listen to the call recordings. Listen to them. Like this is imagine this person talking about your thing in this situation. This is how they overcome a send me more information via email. Or actually, yeah, I'm kind of busy. Can you call me back? And they get those people to book. Like, do you want that?
Free game. I'm gonna steal this source. This is high quality.
Yeah.
High quality source.
You just make a Google Drive. It's so simple. And you just link the Google Drive. Also, something that I play with sometimes is I make the link not shareable.
Oh.
So they have to ask me for permission, meaning that they actually looked at it.
Smart.
Yeah. I do that. I do that a lot of times, actually. Like, oh yeah, here's the thing you asked for, and I gate it. They're like, oh, can you like share access? Cool, you're actually
Sure.
fucking caring.
There you go.
You actually care. There you go.
Okay, so that was kind of the dangers of hiring a bad company. What are the, I guess, negative externalities? Because you're training reps, right? So am I.
Yeah.
When some of these guys come to you and they've already had some kind of training or that they've already had some kind of experience, how many bad habits do you have to unpick before they're actually qualified to go out into the big bad world?
I mean, it's kind of a mixed bag. A lot of the things that we see for our guys is mindset stuff.
Interesting. Okay.
Like just mindset about sales.
Okay. Explain.
So like not confidence related problems or like laziness problems or like just doing par for the course problems. Like you're not going to be great if you don't act great and train great and like embody greatness.
Yeah.
Like for what we do is commission based. Like you're not making money if you don't do the thing at a high proficiency. You're not going to make any money. So it's in your best interest to train,
do the thing. Yeah.
to do the thing and get really good at the thing. And then you're literally, it's an infinite money glitch. You can always make money if you take this seriously.
Yep.
So just ingraining in them like the importance of the little things is really what gets reps to go from like a B- to an A+. Because like the rep who does more is going to obviously get better over time, but they're just going to win more often. So like literally on our coaching call today, I did a whiteboard on the Zoom, and it was like 75 dials. That's a straight line. That's par for the course. Everyone on the team is doing $75, right? That's quota for the day. If you do 90 dialed every day for 30 days, or if you do 60 dials every day for 30 days,
Where do you end up?
it's a 900 difference between 60 and 90 over 30 days. You're making 900 more calls by just doing 15 extra a day over a month. 900. Every 5 days, you are adding a day to your month from an activity perspective.
Mm-hmm.
That's insane. You literally have what? You have 36 days in the month of activity compared to everyone else who's doing 30.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine being able to work 6 extra days. Like, you're just going to fucking win. Even if you're not even the best person.
Yeah.
If you're just okay at sales, but you do 15 extra activities per day than everyone else on the team, or what is asked of you.
15? How does that math work?
What do you mean?
So 70 is the benchmark, right?
75.
Oh, that's why. I heard 70, and I was like,
Yeah.
You aren't doing that maths correct at all.
Yeah, so if it's $75 your quota, and you do 90 every day for
15
30
extra
days,
dollars a day. Yeah.
like, you're exponentially increasing the likelihood of success.
Yeah.
So, like, that's the stuff that we do on our calls is like, guys, I know you can do 15 extra calls. You know you can do 15 extra calls.
Yep.
Just make that your baseline. Maybe you do 100. But if you look at 75, like, if you're
as the final goal.
Yeah, you're never gonna achieve greater success than others. Like, you gotta do uncommon.
Do more.
Yeah, you gotta act uncommon to achieve uncommon results.
Yeah.
So, like, that's the biggest thing that we really coach for, is just like the mindset behind sales. Like, anyone can learn sales, but not everyone can be good at sales prolonged. That's what we want to. That's the guys that we train.
That's really interesting. Very, very interesting.
Yeah, and with closing's obviously different. You can't just take extra closing calls, right? But once your closing calls are done, you could make 15 calls to pipeline.
That's interesting. That's something that we haven't pushed, but like, it's the art of the follow up, right? It's just like, never let them go until you get a yes or a no. Maybe a guest coaching call from Dylan Rich.
Dude, like, we have 2 coaching calls a week. One is mindset only. The other one is sales.
Very interesting.
Every Tuesday, it's my call. It's at noon every day for 45 minutes, and I just lay into them on mindset.
I have specified sessions in sales psych where I just chew them out for an hour. I swear to God.
Yeah, I mean,
It fucking works.
It's just like real life shit you need to hear.
Yeah.
And I always like apply everything to the gym. It's the same shit. Like, if you go to the gym every day, but you do 6 reps on every exercise compared to 12 reps, how much faster are you going to gain strength and muscle?
I mean, fucking more volume, bro. Always more volume.
Yeah, and like, the tricky part about that whole analogy of like 75, 90, and 60 is like, if you do 60 calls for the first month, you may not get less results.
Yeah.
You may get lucky. You may get good connection rate. You may just be good.
Small sample size.
But you don't know when you're starting to fall off the success curve until it's too late. Like, if you eat an extra 300 calories a day, you're not going to get fat automatically. But over time, you're going to gain weight compared to eating 300 less calories.
If you eat 300 calories a day every day for a month, I guarantee you've put on a significant amount of weight.
No, like, say 2,000 is your daily limit. You eat 1,700 compared to 2,200 a day.
Yeah.
Like, the hard thing for people to see is that there's no immediate negative or positive result from doing extra work. So it comes down to the mindset of operating as someone who just does extra. Because you're not going to see the results immediately, right? It's a delayed gratification.
Do you find that reps struggle with that delayed gratification when they first come into it?
Yes, that's why we train on it, like, very hard. It's like, guys, you're not going to be good at this for a decent amount of time. Like, yeah, you'll book a couple calls here and there, and like, it'll feel awesome. But like, just focus on the inputs.
Fascinating stuff. So, when people are coming in to work with you, What's the big things that you want from them?
It's just like hunger, tenacity, and a willing to be coached.
Okay. And then what about on the client side? People who want to hire reps.
You need to have systems in place for their success. You need to have been competently doing it, and you know exactly what the responsibilities of the role are.
Okay.
Like, it's got to be more of a need to have than a nice to have.
Yeah.
Like, I need an SDR. I need an appointment setter. I can't do it. I'm good at it. I just can't do it. I'm a business owner. I can't be cold calling. Like, it's not a high leverage activity. We have leads. We have a CRM. We have a script. Like, this guy is set up for success. And then obviously I need to have product market fit, because I tell every client, like, if your people don't want what you're selling, it doesn't matter how good our guy is.
If your stuff stinks, there's nothing we can do.
There's nothing anyone can do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, on that happy note, seems like a good enough place to call it. As always, it's always a pleasure. If you want to become a closer, come to me. If you want to get into appointment setting, go to Dylan. If you're a business owner who wants to get closers or appointment setters, come to either of us. We will actually train and develop these people. They have to pass fucking assessments before we place them. We will not put shitty morons in your business. That is a rule.
That's a rule.
We also won't take your fucking revenues down by 66% over 6 months as a basic premise of doing business with someone. That isn't the goal.
Absolutely not. We'll see you guys in episode 22.
Peace.